When we hear dementia or Alzheimer's, we often think memory issues. They're going to forget who I am. They're going to forget faces or situations from the past. But one of the things that I have realized that has been actually the more debilitating part of dementia for our mom is not the memory issues, it is all of the sensory issues. So, dementia affects how you see, hear, taste, smell, feel things. And when you understand these changes and the impacts, you can be more creative in your caregiving and have a more positive impact on that person. So, today I wanted to share some of those sensory perception changes and some real examples from our mom's experience. And I'm going to start with vision because this was the biggest and earliest symptom for our mom. These changes are not about her eyes, they are about how her brain is processing visual information. And as our doctor, our specialist said to us, you don't see with your eyes, you see with your brain. So for our mom, there were a ton of visual changes, and we actually have whole videos about that. I'm just going to talk through a few. One is something called simultagnosia. So our mom cannot understand, cannot make sense of simultaneous things within her visual perception. So, as an example, if she looks at a photograph of a family having a meal together around a table, she might see a table, or she might see a bowl of spaghetti, or she might even see a little boy. But she does not see a family having a meal. She can only process one small piece of that information at a time and can't make sense of the story or tell the story about the picture. So that is really interesting. And it's not just about photographs. It's about, walking into a room and maybe, this has happened sometimes in the retirement home that she was in. There might be an entertainer singing and there's a group of people watching, some people singing. Maybe there's someone dancing along. She might see, oh, there's a person dancing in this room and not understand that they're dancing to the music, that this singer, there's an entertainment thing going on. So she can only visually process kind of one thing at a time. Sometimes it's actually just a narrowing of vision, like pinhole vision, but simultagnosia is a whole other thing of just the processing of all of the information. Um, she also struggles, and this is common, depth perception and contrast. And contrast is interesting. It was actually a really early symptom that we did not realize was a symptom. We only recently found a very old Facebook post that of something my mom had commented on about shadow. Anyways, this was very early on. This contrast perception is really interesting. So for our mom, a change in flooring from tile to carpet can look like a drop or a step. So she'll like stop and kind of feel her way. I remember traveling in Italy with her on cobblestones, and that was almost impossible. Like she could not look up at all. She was really, really nervous about all of these different colors and everything. So that contrast perception, depth perception, really, really hard. She can't see a white light switch in a beige or white wall. That's almost impossible for her to find. So these little things, visual changes, are really debilitating and create huge daily challenges as someone who has dementia. So it's really important to understand them and put some things in place. And we do have some videos, tips on that, more to come. Hearing is another sense that gets impacted quite a lot. And hearing is often talked about as one of the precursors or kind of a warning sign, hearing issues for dementia. So it's something to really pay attention to. Background noise, really difficult to filter out. So if we're in a room where there's other people talking or there's music playing or anything like that, our mom has trouble separating my voice from everything else. Sometimes we'll be mid conversation and she'll hear someone else say something and think that it's part of our conversation. And all of a sudden, the conversation makes no sense because there's these different things being talked about. And so she'll ask a question about something completely unrelated. to what we're talking about, and it can be really confusing for me, but really confusing for her. It's not that she's not paying attention. Her auditory processing just can't sort through all of that. Um, she'll also mix up words that sound familiar. So I might say sharp and she'll hear shark. And that doesn't make sense all of a sudden. Why was a sound really shark? Right? So she'll say shark. It was shark. And I'll go, no, sharp. And it takes a while to kind of get the right word for her. So these things happen all the time. It's really understandable when you understand that this is just her brain trying to decode all of these sounds coming in. So, hearing. Smell is the next one. And this is often an early warning sign if you notice someone burning food. They might not have their smell sense is being dampened down. So, they might not have smelled that it was cooking. So, this can be really dangerous and frustrating. It's one of the reasons why cooking can become unsafe. And we see these changes in how people are interacting with cooking, with stoves, with smoke in the house. So it can be really dangerous. So watching out for those little signs about smell. Taste perception also changes. So often taste sensitivity is going down and people might start craving stronger flavors, especially sweets. This is huge with our mom. She was never a huge dessert person and now she loves cookies, ice cream, anything sweet, chocolate, all of that. Sometimes foods just start to taste bland, so people lose their appetite or interest in eating. So really important to understand that and try different flavors to try to spark their interest in eating. Touch. This is really an interesting one and is often surprising to me. So touch can be heightened or distorted, like a tap on the shoulder might feel really sharp or painful to them. The shower might feel painful. So there's often like capes or things that you can put you can use for a person with dementia so it does that water pressure doesn't feel so painful for them. Even like temperatures. Our mom is always cold now, even in the summer. But textures are really interesting. We will see this a lot. Our mom will think she's petting the dog, but she's petting my arm. She might be looking at the dog way over on the other side of the room and pet my arm, thinking she's petting the dog. Like it's a mix of sight and touch really getting mixed up. And most of us would feel the difference. This is not furry, I hope. But for her, the information is not coming through in the same way. So it's not mapping to what her brain expects. She'll even like hold her own hand and be touching her own fingers and not know that that is her hand and like not even know what it is. So part of that is sight, part of it is touch, and not being able to feel that she's touching herself, or make sense that she feels that she's touching herself. Like it is the brain processing. So these changes, vision, hearing, smell, taste, touch, are incredibly confusing and overwhelming for that person living with dementia and sometimes for us as caregivers. They are often misunderstood as behavioral issues, but it's really not about behavior. It is about perception. It is their brain trying its hardest to make sense of what is happening, and it's just becoming harder and harder to decode. So when we really understand that dementia affects all of these senses, it's not just about memory. We can respond and be creative and be more patient and compassionate, and solve things and put in structures and processes and little tips and things to help. So if you are living with someone and loving someone who has dementia, remember that they're not being difficult. They are navigating a world that looks and sounds and feels completely foreign. I can't imagine how hard that is. So if we can understand that, we can make their world a little safer and easier to navigate. We do have lots of tips for different things on in our shorts. Check out our shorts and more to come, especially for these visual changes and some of the sensory changes that people go through. If you found this video helpful or any of our other videos helpful, please share them, help other caregivers, spread the word, and make sure to subscribe for more.